Ladies and gentlemen, you ever notice how the nicest women, kind, caring, always putting a man first, end up being the most disrespected? You ever see how the ones who give their all, who go out of their way, who bend over backwards, somehow still end up heartbroken? That's because you're doing too much. You're being too nice. Now, don't get me wrong, kindness is a beautiful thing. But being nice at the expense of your standards, at the cost of your dignity, that's not kindness, that's self-sabotage. Let me tell you something. A man will only treat you as well as you require him to. If you don't demand effort, he won't give it. If you keep accepting crumbs, that's all you'll ever get. And if you keep trying to be the cool girl, the one who never complains, never asks for more, never says no, then don't be surprised when he stops valuing you. See, the problem isn't men. The problem is that too many women are out here giving wifey benefits to men who don't even deserve a lunch date. You're auditioning for a role they ain't even casting for. So today, I'm here to tell you, stop being nice, stop overgiving, stop over-explaining, stop excusing disrespect, stop settling for half effort and mixed signals. If a man wants to be in your life, he better show up, show respect, and show consistency. You are not an option. You are the prize. Start acting like it. Because when you do, the right man will step up and the wrong ones will fall away. Either way, you win. Being nice and being respected are two very different things, yet too many women confuse the two. Niceness is about being agreeable, accommodating, and going out of your way to make others feel comfortable. Respect, on the other hand, is about being valued, heard, and treated with dignity. The problem is a lot of women have been conditioned to believe that if they are just nice enough, a man will see their worth, appreciate them, and reciprocate that kindness. But in reality, that's not how it works. The truth is, men don't value women because they are nice. They value women who command respect. A man will only respect what he feels he has to work for. If a woman gives her time, energy, and emotional support without requiring anything in return, he will take it for granted. It's not because he's a bad person, it's simply human nature. When something is freely given over and over again without expectation, it loses its value. Think about it. When people get things easily, they don't appreciate them as much. That's why the women who set boundaries, who demand effort, who refuse to be walked over, are the ones men actually respect. Being overly nice often comes from a place of wanting to be liked, of not wanting to cause conflict or push a man away. But what actually happens is the opposite. Instead of making a man appreciate you, it makes him feel like he doesn't have to try. He knows that no matter how he acts, you'll still be there. He knows that if he doesn't call, if he disrespects you, if he takes days to respond to a message, you'll still be waiting. And the moment he realizes that, the effort stops. Not because he planned it that way, but because there's no reason for him to do more when you've already shown that you'll accept less. Respect comes from a place of strength, not submission. It's built when you communicate what you will and won't tolerate, when you enforce your boundaries, and when you show that you are willing to walk away from anything that does not serve you. A woman who knows her worth does not have to beg for attention. She does not have to tolerate inconsistency. She does not have to keep proving herself. She simply exists in a way that commands respect, and because of that, the right kind of man will step up. Niceness without boundaries is not kindness. It's an invitation to be taken for granted. When a man sees that a woman respects herself, he either rises to meet her standards or he removes himself. Either way, she wins. Respect is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, and it starts with how you treat yourself. A woman who demands respect will always get further in life, love, and relationships than a woman who settles for being just nice. Standards are not about having an impossible checklist, being demanding, or expecting perfection. They are about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for anything less than what aligns with your values, needs, and desires. The moment you start lowering your standards to keep a man around, you're not just compromising on what you want, you're compromising on who you are. And the reality is, once you start doing that, it's a slippery slope that leads to resentment, disappointment, and a relationship that drains you instead of fulfilling you. Lowering your standards often starts small. Maybe you overlook his lack of effort because you don't want to seem too demanding. Maybe you tolerate disrespectful behavior because you don't want to push him away. Maybe you make excuses for his inconsistency, telling yourself he's just busy. Before you know it, you're in a situation where you're giving more than you're receiving, making all the compromises while he does the bare minimum. The worst part, he knows it. He sees that you're willing to settle, and instead of stepping up, he adjusts to the fact that he can get away with giving you less. A man will only rise to the level of effort that you require from him. If you set the bar low, he will meet you there. If you allow disrespect, inconsistency, or half-hearted love, he will give you just that. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't have to do more. A man who truly values you will never be intimidated by your standards. In fact, the right man will appreciate them because they show that you respect yourself. But the wrong man, he will see your standards as a challenge, something to break down so that he can stay comfortable while you keep adjusting to accommodate him. Standards are not about pushing people away. They're about making sure the right people come close. A woman with standards doesn't have to beg for attention, doesn't have to chase, and doesn't have to constantly prove her worth. She simply knows what she deserves and refuses to accept anything less. And if a man cannot meet those standards, she walks away. Not because she's difficult or unreasonable, but because she understands that the right relationship should never require her to shrink herself. Sacrificing your standards for the sake of keeping a man will never make him love you more. It will only teach him that he can get away with giving you less. Love should never come at the expense of your self-worth. The moment you start compromising on what truly matters to you, you're telling yourself that you are not worthy of the love and respect you desire. A relationship should add to your life, not diminish it. A man should meet you at your level, not pull you down to his. Stop being afraid of losing someone who isn't willing to rise to your standards. The right man will never ask you to lower them. He'll step up to meet them. Effort is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. Without it, there is no trust, no respect, and no real connection, only convenience. Yet too many women make the mistake of giving their time, energy, and love without requiring a man to earn his place in their life. They assume that if they give enough, prove enough, love enough, the man will naturally appreciate them and step up. But that's not how it works. Relationships don't thrive on one person constantly giving while the other simply exists. A relationship is a two-way street, and effort is the price of admission. A man should never feel entitled to your time, love, or commitment just because he shows up. Being present is not the same as being invested. Too often women accept inconsistency, mixed signals, and bare minimum behavior simply because they don't want to seem difficult or too demanding. But let's be clear. Requiring effort is not demanding, it's a standard. If a man wants to be in your life, he should have to prove that he deserves to be there. That means showing up consistently, communicating clearly, respecting your time, and putting in the same emotional investment that you do. Anything less is unacceptable. Effort isn't about expensive gifts, grand gestures, or constant attention. It's about intentional actions. It's about a man making you a priority, not an afterthought. It's about him listening, remembering the little things, and showing through his actions, not just his words, that he values you. If a man is serious about you, he will not leave you questioning where you stand. He won't disappear for days and then come back as if nothing happened. He won't make excuses for why he can't give you the consistency and respect you deserve. He won't expect you to do all the work while he enjoys the benefits of your presence. The harsh truth is this: a man who truly wants you will put in the effort. A man who doesn't will make excuses. And if you keep accepting those excuses, he will keep giving them. Men do what they want to do. If he can make time for his friends, his hobbies, and his job, then he can make time for you. If he wants to, if he doesn't, then the answer is simple: he does not care enough. And that's not something you should ever try to fix, convince, or chase after. Women who require effort from a man weed out the ones who are just there for convenience. A man who is truly interested won't see effort as a burden, he will see it as a privilege. And the ones who complain, who say you're too much, or that they don't want to play games, are the ones who simply don't want to do the work. Let them go. They were never meant for you in the first place. You are not a participation trophy. You are not a consolation prize. You are a woman of value, and if a man wants to be in your life, he needs to show up for you the same way you show up for him. Anything less is unacceptable. Confidence is the key to how a woman commands respect, not just in relationships, but in every area of her life. Too many women are taught that being agreeable, accommodating, and easygoing will make them more desirable, more loved, and more valued. But in reality, compliance does not create admiration. Confidence does. When a woman operates from a place of confidence, she understands that her worth is not dependent on whether a man approves of her, stays with her, or likes her decisions. She is willing to say no, to walk away when necessary, and to enforce her boundaries because she knows that her value does not decrease just because someone else refuses to recognize it. The problem is many women fear that if they set boundaries or refuse to tolerate certain behaviors, they will lose the man they are interested in. This fear leads them to compromise, to accept less than they deserve, and to tolerate things that make them uncomfortable. They don't want to seem difficult, so they let things slide. They don't want to push him away, so they ignore red flags. They don't want to cause conflict, so they stay silent. And little by little, they lose themselves in the process. But here's the truth. A man will never truly respect a woman who does not respect herself. If you allow yourself to be walked over, if you say yes when you really mean no, if you tolerate things that hurt you just to keep a man happy, you are teaching him that he can get away with mistreating you. And once he learns that, it becomes a pattern. The more you give in, the more he expects you to. The moment you hesitate to enforce your boundaries, he sees that as permission to push them further. Confidence is about trusting yourself enough to walk away from anything that does not align with your values. It's about knowing that you do not have to bend and break just to be loved. A strong woman does not chase, beg, or plead for someone to treat her right. She simply sets her expectations, communicates them clearly, and expects a man to meet them. And if he doesn't, she doesn't beg. She moves on because she knows that the right man will never require her to shrink herself, silence herself, or suppress her true feelings just to make the relationship work. When a woman is confident, she understands that love should never come at the expense of her dignity. She does not settle for inconsistency. She does not tolerate disrespect. She does not lower her standards just to keep someone in her life. She does not fear walking away because she knows that walking away from the wrong thing only makes room for the right thing to find her. A woman who stands firm in her confidence will always attract a man who respects her because men are naturally drawn to strength. They may play games with women who comply, but they commit to women who command respect. Confidence is what separates a woman of value from a woman of convenience. And when you own your confidence, you will never have to ask for respect. It will be given to you automatically. Too many women have been conditioned to believe that they have to chase love, prove their worth, and convince a man to see their value. They pour their time, energy, and emotions into trying to win a man over, believing that if they just show him how amazing they are, he will finally appreciate them. But this mindset is completely backward. A queen does not chase, she chooses. And the moment you start seeing yourself as the prize, your entire approach to love and relationships will shift. A woman who understands her worth knows that her presence is valuable. She does not need to beg for a man's attention, overextend herself to gain his approval, or accept breadcrumbs just to keep him around. Instead, she observes, she evaluates, she decides, she chooses who is worthy of her time and effort rather than handing out her love to just anyone willing to take it. The problem is that many women operate from a place of scarcity. They believe that good men are rare, that they have to lock him down before someone else does, that they have to play a game of pursuit in order to secure a relationship. This fear makes them settle for less than they deserve. They accept inconsistency. They make excuses for disrespect. They stay in situations that drain them, hoping that if they just try a little harder, the man will finally realize how much he needs them. But a queen never operates from fear. She operates from abundance. She knows that the right man will recognize her worth without her having to convince him. She knows that her value does not decrease just because one man fails to see it. And most importantly, She understands that real power lies in her ability to choose, not to chase. When a woman stops chasing, she shifts the dynamic. She stops waiting by the phone. She stops accepting last-minute plans. She stops prioritizing men who don't prioritize her. Instead, she focuses on herself, her growth, her goals, her happiness. And what happens when a woman truly embraces this mindset? Men notice. Men are naturally wired to pursue. They value what they have to work for. When a woman carries herself with confidence, when she makes it clear that she is not desperate for anyone's attention, she becomes irresistible. The right man will step up because he recognizes that she is not someone he can take for granted. And the wrong men, they will fall away because they were never willing to do the work in the first place. Being the prize means setting standards and holding firm to them. It means refusing to entertain situations that do not serve you. It means understanding that your happiness does not depend on a man, it depends on you. And when you embody this mindset, you won't have to chase anyone ever again, because the right man will step up and the rest will step aside.